Kindness is often lauded as one of the highest virtues. It's encouraged from a young age, taught in schools, embedded in religious texts, and celebrated by philosophers. However, despite the widespread admiration for kindness, there is a peculiar paradox that arises from the act of being kind to others. The paradox is that, more often than not, kindness does not lead to appreciation or respect. Instead, it can lead to being disrespected, manipulated, or taken for granted. This may seem counterintuitive at first, especially since we've been told for so long that kindness is a moral ideal and that it should be universally reciprocated. But when we look deeper into human nature, society, and the dynamics of interpersonal relationships, we can begin to understand why kindness often doesn't elicit the respect it deserves. At the heart of this issue lies the concept of human behavior. People, for the most part, are not entirely rational or even entirely moral. They are driven by a complex interplay of emotions, unconscious desires, and survival instincts. In social situations, people are constantly assessing each other, often without even realizing it. They are looking for signals of strength, dominance, vulnerability, and the capacity for reciprocity. Kindness, in its purest form, does not always send the right signals. It doesn't show strength or dominance, and it does not, by itself, communicate the capacity for fair reciprocity. Let's think about this for a moment. Imagine a person who is exceptionally kind, who gives freely to others without expecting anything in return, who seeks to make others happy and alleviate suffering. On the surface, this person seems to embody the ideal of a virtuous individual, someone to be respected and admired. But what is the underlying message that their actions send to others? Without boundaries, without the assertion of personal needs or desires, the person may unwittingly communicate that they are weak, that they are not a serious contender in the complex game of social hierarchy. Human beings, whether consciously or unconsciously, value individuals who demonstrate strength and assertiveness. Respect is often reserved for those who establish clear boundaries, who assert their position, and who demonstrate their capability to stand up for themselves. This is because such traits signal a certain degree of competence, authority, and the ability to protect oneself and others when necessary. Kindness, in contrast, is often seen as an indication of submission, an absence of power, or a willingness to be exploited. When someone is overly kind, they may appear to be overly eager to please, unable to stand up for themselves, or willing to sacrifice their own needs and desires for the sake of others. These characteristics can easily be misinterpreted as weakness or ineffectiveness. Think about the dynamics in any social group. The person who is always available to help, always willing to lend a hand, always offering support, is often the one who ends up being overlooked or undervalued. People may come to take this kindness for granted. They don't see the individual as someone who has their own interests, who is actively pursuing their own goals. Instead, the person who is overly kind becomes a utility, a resource to be tapped when needed, without much thought given to their own well-being or needs. In some cases, kindness can even breed resentment. Others may feel that they have to live up to the expectations of this kind person, which may make them feel uncomfortable or burdened. This is where the concept of respect becomes essential. To be respected, one must be seen as an equal, as someone with their own boundaries, their own desires, and their own capacity to assert themselves when necessary. Respect is not freely given simply because someone is nice or kind. It is earned through a demonstration of strength, integrity, and self-possession. And when kindness is not accompanied by the demonstration of these traits, it can be seen as a form of weakness. People may not respect someone who is kind because they don't feel that the individual has the strength or the presence to demand it. Furthermore, kindness is often misunderstood in the context of power dynamics. The world is full of individuals who are constantly trying to navigate power structures. These structures exist in families, workplaces, social groups, and even in broader societal contexts. In these structures, power is often linked to the ability to influence, to control, and to dictate the terms of engagement. Kindness, when divorced from power, can be viewed as an attempt to gain favor through subservience or ingratiation, rather than as an expression of genuine moral concern. People can sense when kindness is being used as a strategy, and when it is not backed by true strength or authenticity. In these cases, kindness can appear manipulative or weak, even if the individual does not intend it to be so. The desire to be liked, to be appreciated, or to avoid conflict can motivate individuals to be kind in ways that ultimately undermine their own position in the social hierarchy. This is where the idea of appeasing comes into play. People may feel compelled to be overly accommodating or self-sacrificial because they are afraid of being rejected or criticized. They believe that by being kind, they will be accepted or valued by others. However, in doing so, they may unintentionally signal to others that they are willing to tolerate disrespect, that they have no strong sense of self or purpose, and that they are willing to let others take advantage of them for the sake of social harmony. There is also an issue of predictability. The kind person may always act in a certain way, responding to others with patience, empathy, and understanding. While this can be admirable, it can also create a sense of predictability that others can exploit. People often respect those who are unpredictable, who can surprise others with their actions, who can assert themselves when necessary, and who are not so easily manipulated. The kindness of a person who is too predictable can be seen as something to take advantage of, because it signals that the person will always behave in a certain way, regardless of how others behave toward them. The tendency to view kindness as a form of weakness is not limited to casual acquaintances or strangers. In many cases, even close friends and family members can fall into the trap of taking kindness for granted. The more someone gives, the more they may expect from others in return, whether consciously or subconsciously. When the kind person does not receive the same level of respect or reciprocity in return, feelings of bitterness or resentment can emerge. This is a natural human response. People want to feel that their kindness is not just an exercise in self-sacrifice, but that it is recognized and valued by others. When kindness is not reciprocated, it can feel like a betrayal, and this can lead to a breakdown in trust and mutual respect. Another aspect to consider is the cultural context in which kindness is expressed. In some cultures, kindness is seen as a necessary social lubricant, a way to foster harmony and cooperation. In other cultures, however, kindness may be viewed with suspicion, especially if it is seen as insincere or manipulative. People may be more likely to respect individuals who demonstrate independence, self-reliance, and a certain degree of toughness. In such contexts, kindness may be interpreted as a form of weakness or passivity, and those who express it may be seen as lacking the qualities that are truly valued in their social environment. In addition, there is the issue of the moral high ground. Some individuals may view their acts of kindness as a form of moral superiority. They may feel that by being kind, they are in some way elevating themselves above others, positioning themselves as morally virtuous and deserving of respect. However, this kind of moral posturing can backfire. People are often suspicious of those who overtly display their moral superiority, because it creates a dynamic of judgment, where others are implicitly expected to live up to a certain standard of behavior. This can create tension, resentment, and ultimately a lack of respect. Genuine kindness does not seek recognition or admiration. It is simply given freely, without expectation of anything in return. When kindness becomes tied to the desire for respect or validation, it ceases to be pure and begins to take on the characteristics of a strategy or a transaction, which undermines its effectiveness. Ultimately, the issue with kindness is not the act itself, but the way it is expressed and perceived within the larger context of human relationships. Kindness, when it is unbalanced or excessively self-sacrificial, can lead to a lack of respect because it fails to signal the strength, independence, and self-respect that are necessary for respect to flourish. It is important to recognize that kindness should be paired with boundaries, with self-awareness, and with an understanding of the power dynamics at play in any given relationship. True respect is earned not through submission or self-effacement, but through the demonstration of strength, integrity, and a capacity for both compassion and assertiveness. When kindness is used as a form of self-expression, without expectation of return or validation, it can be a beautiful and transformative force. But when it is used to seek approval, to avoid conflict, or to appease others, it can lead to disillusionment and disrespect. The key to being truly respected lies not in the amount of kindness one gives, but in the balance between kindness and strength, between compassion and self-respect. When kindness is given without clear boundaries or the demonstration of self-respect, it can be seen as a sign of vulnerability or submission. People may take advantage of this, failing to offer the respect or reciprocity that the kind person deserves. Kindness alone does not guarantee respect. True respect is cultivated when kindness is paired with assertiveness, strength, and the ability to stand up for oneself, signaling to others that one is both compassionate and capable. Kindness is universally seen as a virtue, a quality that is often admired and celebrated. We are told from a young age to be kind to others, to put others' needs before our own, and to treat people with compassion. On the surface, kindness seems to be an unequivocal good, a behavior that should be appreciated and reciprocated by others. However, when kindness is offered without boundaries or an understanding of one's own needs and limits, it can be perceived as weakness. This perception arises not from the inherent value of kindness itself, but from the way it is expressed and the psychological dynamics at play in human interactions. At the core of this dynamic lies the idea of boundaries, both personal and relational. Boundaries are crucial for maintaining one's sense of self, protecting one's emotional energy, and ensuring that relationships are built on mutual respect. Boundaries are what distinguish individuals as autonomous beings with their own needs, desires, and limitations. When someone offers kindness without boundaries, they may unintentionally signal that their needs and desires are secondary to those of others. This can be interpreted as a form of submission, a lack of self-assertion, and a vulnerability that others might take advantage of. Human beings by nature are social creatures who are constantly navigating power dynamics in relationships. These dynamics are not always explicit, but they are nonetheless present. People are constantly assessing one another for cues about strength, vulnerability, and their ability to assert themselves. In a social context, strength is often associated with self-respect, assertiveness, and the ability to set and maintain boundaries. When someone behaves in a way that suggests they do not have boundaries, being excessively kind, self-sacrificing, or overly accommodating, it can signal that they lack the strength to stand up for themselves, to assert their needs, or to protect their own well-being. Kindness, when offered without boundaries, can be perceived as a lack of self-respect. A person who is always available to help, always giving of themselves, always putting others' needs ahead of their own, may be seen as lacking the self-awareness or self-worth to say no when necessary. People naturally respect those who demonstrate self-respect, who are capable of making clear decisions about what they will and will not tolerate, and who have the strength to uphold their own needs and desires. Kindness, when it is given indiscriminately and without limit, can create the impression that a person does not value themselves enough to protect their own time, energy, and resources. In the absence of boundaries, kindness can become an unspoken invitation for others to exploit. People may not consciously intend to take advantage of kindness, but without boundaries, they may assume that the kind person will always be available, that they will always put others' needs before their own, and that they will not demand anything in return. This dynamic can lead to a situation where the kind person is seen as a utility, a resource to be used when needed, but not necessarily someone deserving of respect or reciprocity. This is particularly true in environments where relationships are transactional, where individuals are assessing what they can gain from each other, either consciously or unconsciously. In such contexts, a person who is constantly kind without setting limits can be taken for granted, their efforts undervalued, and their kindness seen as a sign of vulnerability or lack of personal strength. One of the key ways that kindness without boundaries is perceived as weakness is through the lens of social dominance. People are wired to assess social hierarchies, to understand who is in a position of power and who is not. Power, in this context, is not merely about physical strength or financial resources. It is about the ability to assert one's needs, to control the flow of interaction, and to maintain one's dignity and autonomy. Those who do not establish boundaries, those who constantly give of themselves without expecting anything in return, are often seen as being at the bottom of the social hierarchy. This is because their actions do not signal strength or self-possession. Instead, they signal that they are subordinate, that they are willing to sacrifice their own well-being for the benefit of others. In a world where power dynamics play such an important role, individuals who fail to establish clear boundaries may be seen as weaker, and therefore less deserving of respect. Moreover, kindness without boundaries can breed resentment. This may seem counterintuitive, as kindness is generally viewed as a positive and virtuous trait. However, when kindness is extended without limits or consideration for one's own needs, it can lead to feelings of bitterness or frustration. The kind person may begin to feel as though their efforts are not appreciated, as though their kindness is being taken for granted or even exploited. At the same time, the recipients of this kindness may begin to expect it as a given, assuming that the kind person will always be there to offer help, support, or assistance. This expectation can erode respect, as it creates a sense of entitlement rather than mutual appreciation. The kind person may feel trapped in a cycle of giving without receiving, and this can lead to emotional exhaustion and disillusionment. The lack of boundaries in kindness can also impact the overall quality of relationships. Relationships are healthiest when they are built on mutual respect and reciprocity, where both individuals are able to assert their needs and desires and are willing to give and receive in equal measure. When one person is constantly giving without receiving, the relationship becomes imbalanced. The giver may feel that their needs are being overlooked, while the recipient may take the giver's kindness for granted. This imbalance can create tension, as the kind person may begin to feel unappreciated or used, while the recipient may not fully understand the emotional cost of the kindness they receive. In such situations, respect diminishes and the relationship becomes one-sided, with one person in a position of perpetual sacrifice and the other in a position of perpetual taking. There is also the issue of self-worth. People who consistently offer kindness without boundaries may be doing so out of a desire to gain approval or to feel value. They may believe that by being kind, they will earn respect or affection from others. However, when kindness is motivated by the need for validation, it can create an unhealthy dynamic. The person offering kindness may not be acting from a place of genuine generosity, but from a place of insecurity or fear of rejection. They may be trying to prove their worth by giving, rather than recognizing that their worth is inherent and does not need to be earned through self-sacrifice. This need for validation can be sensed by others, and rather than eliciting respect, it can make the individual appear desperate or self-effacing. People respect those who are confident in their own worth, and who do not feel the need to prove themselves through excessive kindness or self-sacrifice. The root of this issue lies in the failure to recognize that kindness, in and of itself, is not enough to earn respect. Respect is a reciprocal dynamic, one that is built on the foundation of mutual understanding, self-awareness, and strength. True kindness is not self-sacrificial to the point of self-neglect. It is freely and generously, but not at the expense of one's own well-being. When kindness is offered with clear boundaries, when one is able to assert their own needs while still being compassionate toward others, it becomes a powerful force for building strong, healthy relationships. It is only when kindness is offered without boundaries, when it becomes a one-sided, self-effacing gesture, that it can be seen as weakness. The key to earning respect lies not in the quantity of kindness one offers, but in the quality of the boundaries one maintains while giving it. Respect is a fundamental aspect of human interaction. It is the cornerstone of healthy relationships, both personal and professional. We are often taught that kindness is a direct pathway to earning respect, that treating others well and offering compassion will be met with appreciation and reverence. However, kindness, while an essential and admirable quality, is not enough on its own to earn respect. Respect is primarily earned through strength and integrity, through the ability to assert oneself, maintain one's values, and demonstrate a commitment to personal principles, regardless of the pressures or expectations of others. To begin to understand why respect is more closely tied to strength and integrity than to kindness, we must first examine what respect really is. At its core, respect involves the recognition of the inherent worth and dignity of another person. It is acknowledging their autonomy, their values, and their contributions to a relationship or society. Respect is not something that can be demanded or coerced. It must be earned through consistent actions, attitudes, and behaviors that align with strength, honesty, and reliability. Respect is a reflection of the belief that someone is worthy of consideration and esteem not just because they are kind, but because they have demonstrated a steadfast commitment to their own sense of self and to their moral and ethical values. One of the primary reasons that strength plays such a critical role in earning respect is because humans are naturally drawn to individuals who are capable of standing their ground, who have the courage to speak their truth, and who are not easily swayed by the opinions or actions of others. People who exude strength are able to maintain their boundaries, assert their needs, and navigate challenges with resilience and determination. This kind of strength signals to others that the individual is self-assured, capable of handling adversity, and unlikely to be easily manipulated or exploited. In contrast, people who are overly kind to the point of self-sacrifice may inadvertently communicate a lack of strength. When someone continually puts others before themselves, they may seem to lack the fortitude to set limits, to prioritize their own well-being, and to maintain a sense of independence. This can lead to a loss of respect because strength, whether in the form of assertiveness, self-reliance, or emotional fortitude is a quality that others admire and value. Moreover, strength is not simply about physical power or dominance. It encompasses emotional, mental, and moral strength. Emotional strength involves the ability to handle difficult emotions, such as anger, sadness, or frustration, in a way that is constructive and not destructive. It requires the capacity to stay calm under pressure, to think critically in the face of challenges, and to maintain composure in emotionally charged situations. Mental strength involves the ability to persevere in the pursuit of long-term goals, even in the face of setbacks or opposition. It means having the discipline and focus to continue working toward a goal, despite distractions or obstacles. Moral strength, perhaps the most important form of strength in earning respect, involves staying true to one's values and principles, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. People respect those who have the courage to do what is right, even when faced with external pressure or temptation to compromise. Integrity is equally crucial in earning respect. Integrity refers to the alignment between one's words, actions, and values. It involves being honest, ethical, and reliable. When a person consistently demonstrates integrity, they build trust with others. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, whether it is personal or professional. Without trust, there can be no respect. When individuals demonstrate integrity, they show others that they can be counted on to do what they say they will do, to keep their promises, and to act in ways that are consistent with their stated beliefs and principles. Integrity fosters respect because it demonstrates that a person is reliable, principled, and trustworthy. These are the qualities that people respect most in others. In contrast, kindness without integrity can be perceived as manipulative or disingenuous. People are quick to detect when kindness is being used as a means to an end, whether it's to gain approval, avoid conflict, or receive something in return. When kindness is not backed by integrity, it can appear shallow or self-serving. For example, a person who is overly kind to others but who frequently breaks promises or fails to follow through on commitments may be seen as insincere. While their kindness may initially be appreciated, it will eventually be questioned, and the lack of integrity will overshadow the kindness they display. This is why integrity is so important in earning respect. Without it, kindness loses its power and becomes little more than a strategy for manipulation. Strength and integrity, however, are not only about how one interacts with others, but also about how one interacts with oneself. Self-respect is an essential component of earning respect from others. When an individual demonstrates self-respect, they convey to others that they value themselves, their time, and their boundaries. Self-respect involves knowing what one is worth, not allowing oneself to be treated poorly, and standing firm in one's beliefs and values. People who lack self-respect often find themselves in situations where they are mistreated or disrespected by others because they fail to set boundaries or assert their needs. Conversely, people who have a strong sense of self-respect are less likely to tolerate mistreatment, and they earn the respect of others through their unwavering commitment to maintaining their dignity. The interplay between strength, integrity, and self-respect creates a foundation for mutual respect in relationships. When two individuals both demonstrate these qualities, they can build a relationship based on trust, admiration, and equality. Mutual respect requires that both parties are able to assert their own needs, communicate honestly, and maintain their own sense of self-worth. Relationships that lack respect are often characterized by power imbalances, where one person dominates or manipulates the other. In such relationships, kindness alone is not enough to maintain a healthy dynamic. Without strength to assert one's own needs and integrity to uphold one's values, kindness becomes a tool for enabling unhealthy patterns of behavior rather than fostering mutual understanding. In professional environments, the importance of strength and integrity in earning respect becomes even more apparent. In the workplace, individuals are often evaluated based on their ability to perform tasks, meet deadlines, and contribute to team goals. However, respect is also earned through the demonstration of leadership qualities, the ability to handle pressure, and the capacity to make difficult decisions with integrity. Employees and colleagues respect individuals who are capable of making tough choices, who stand firm in the face of adversity, and who do not compromise their values for the sake of expediency or personal gain. A person who displays strength in leadership, who maintains a high standard of ethical conduct, and who consistently follows through on their commitments is far more likely to earn the respect of others than someone who is merely kind or agreeable. Furthermore, integrity is essential for building a reputation of trustworthiness. A leader who acts with integrity fosters a culture of honesty and accountability within their team. Employees who trust their leaders are more likely to respect their decisions, work harder to achieve team goals, and follow their lead. When integrity is lacking, however, respect diminishes. If a leader is dishonest, untrustworthy, or inconsistent in their actions, their authority is undermined and their respect within the organization is compromised. The same applies to individuals who lack integrity in their personal lives. People who fail to be honest with themselves and others often struggle to earn the respect of those around them. Integrity builds a solid foundation for long-term respect, whereas a lack of it leads to distrust and disillusionment. Ultimately, the reason that respect is earned through strength and integrity rather than kindness alone is that these qualities reflect a deeper commitment to one's values, principles, and self-worth. Kindness is certainly important. It fosters connection, empathy, and understanding. However, without strength to maintain boundaries, integrity to uphold one's values, and self-respect to assert one's worth, kindness can become weak, self-serving, or insincere. Respect is built on a foundation of strength, emotional, mental, and moral and integrity, which are qualities that show others that you are not only capable of being kind, but also capable of standing firm in your beliefs, honoring your commitments, and maintaining your dignity in the face of life's challenges. These qualities ensure that the kindness one offers is genuine and worthy of respect, rather than a tool to gain approval or avoid conflict. The combination of strength, integrity, and kindness forms the bedrock of respect. Strength ensures that a person is not easily manipulated, that they can assert their needs and values without compromising their integrity, and that they maintain their self-respect in the face of challenges. Integrity ensures that kindness is genuine, that one's actions align with their values, and that trust is built through consistency and honesty. When these qualities come together, respect is naturally earned not as a result of self-sacrifice or appeasement, but as a reflection of one's authentic, unwavering commitment to living a life of strength, honor, and moral clarity. In the end, respect is not given freely, nor is it owed to anyone. It is earned through the consistent demonstration of these core qualities, which are far more enduring and powerful than kindness alone.